Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Kitty cat?
That's what they want.
You want a kitty cat?
Okay, ready?
Okay, I'll get it. Okay, I will
Look
do
this
my
way.
best.
What they're looking for is schools that have made significant progress over the last few years and that have exhibited a tremendous opportunity of growth.
And innovation.
Innovation,
Yeah.
things like that, and a real comprehensive effort. And I mean, for me, they talked a lot about the community support, and they were very impressed by that. They were talking about the kids and how great the kids were when they talked to them, et cetera. And specifically for me, it was about levels of staff engagement. And we talked about that specifically. This staff, again, is not necessarily bought into the whole idea, if you will. They've owned it. They've taken it to that next level in terms of staff development and all the things I mentioned previously. And that's what they're, the one lady had mentioned to me afterwards, she was most impressed with. And is there areas for growth? Absolutely. We're not there yet. We've got a lot of work to do. But this is just one indicator that the school is moving in the right direction and that the staff deserves the recognition for doing so.
I think one of the reasons why we were even in the running for the award is because this school was able to hurdle the 800 score goal that we've been after. And so I think from the board's perspective, is we continue to look at our lead educators and ask them to make sure that they keep those things in mind, because those scores are important to the community, and they're in my estimation, they're the single biggest selling point.
When they came and, it was apparent to me that's what they were looking for, and I'm sure that's what's been their focus all along with you. It wasn't, we at the end of when the whole thing was over, it was very positive. They said, you'll either get it, or it'll be a maybe, or you won't get it. And this is what you can do in order to get it, right? And they spent a long time on the maybe and the, you either won't get it, you were here, your son. That kind of alarmed me because I thought it was going great. And then we got a thing saying that, we got a thing saying that you got it. And they just had a couple of points in there, how it was going to be presented to their higher-ups, right? So I think one important thing here is for us, and one goal should be that we follow up with them and explore the situation and see what were the reasons specifically that they chose us. Specific reasons, what are the things that stood out to them? And those are going to be our strength, and also participate in the process as any other school, which is what are the things that we can look at as an example in other schools.
Well, one of the questions in my mind is always, how does this affect the neediest kids, the ones that either lack the motivation or the resources or ability to achieve well in school? And you did mention that the ESL students' scores had come up, and that the team looked at obviously at all the different students, but I always worry about them.
Yeah,
They're the ones that need it the most.
Yeah.
They need our help the most. And
When
so
you look at our demographics, it pretty much boils down to this particular area. You have students of second language ESL students, and you'll have EL students is what we call them, and then also low socioeconomic students. And so as we look at those criteria, we have been able to identify, and we have specifically through the work with our ad hoc groups, and Mrs. Fernandez has done a lot of work around that, of incorporating best practices with those kids. And that will include, we've recently infused a lot of interventions. And meaning that once we clearly and quickly identify which students are not meeting proficiency through our newly created benchmarks, okay, then we identify those students that are lagging a little bit and obviously accelerate the pace. Never remediate, but we also really look at accelerating the pace of those students. And so we're experimenting with some best practices now, and we're kind of feeling our way through what works for kids. And so we have installed and instilled a lot of different programs around interventions.
There's nothing mysterious about any of this. It's just a matter of going in and being able to effectively educate our kids.
We've been working with in the area for a number of years, help with St. Mary's development.
and am now helping with the mission group, which I'll call the church group, church committee. The way the diocese works, the missions are attached to a parish. The parish has a pastor, the pastor has a bishop, the bishop goes down to a building committee downtown at the diocese. So that's their organization. The first step is to work with the mission or the church group locally to master plan their own facility sufficient to figure out how the land will be used and what facilities will be provided. We did try different layouts. This one was selected for a number of reasons I'll go into in a minute. Our next step after hearing your preliminary discussion tonight will be to probably discuss it internally and then submit it for formal approval by the local regional bishop in his offices in San Fernando. And following that, we would ask permission from the diocese to submit a tentative tract map. This particular site will require both a tentative tract map for all of the residential lots. This could be done as a residential lot now and then developed later as a commercial use according to the county's rules. Seats in the church in pew fashion, more or less this type of layout. That doesn't mean the pews have to go in on day one. We're just trying to size the building in such a way that we can meet that program requirement. Toilets, a vesting, a sacristy and some vesting areas, a little shrine area, and a kitchen, and a large meeting room that can be and then a couple smaller rooms. It's formed in this sort of fashion, so we have an exterior gathering area for at least 2/3 of the seating count. That is nowadays kind of important for church design. They like people to hang out and perhaps have, coffee, donuts, and the other things offered typically.